everyone. Welcome to the African American Museum and Library at the beautiful city of Oakland, California. We are so excited to have you to join us here at AMLO for a fantastic, wonderful event that I'm sure you will leave this institution saying, wow, that was a fabulous event. So, I am Rita Silver, the Museum Project Coordinator, and thank you all for being here, sharing your Saturday with us. It is a pleasure to see all of you. Some of you I've seen before, and then I see some new faces, which is really good. So all of you are welcome. Those of you that are new, please come back and join us. So before we get started, I want to just a tad bit, tell you a little bit about this institution. We are a research institution for African American history and culture. We have 4 departments here. We have a C library, which is actually the newest department. It's been for about 5 years. I'll get back to that. I want to talk about the reference library, non-circulating, meaning, anybody knows what that means? Non-circulating?
Yeah, check it out.
That's right. Is that a librarian?
No, but I had a good friend who was a librarian.
Yeah, okay, I can tell. Sometimes I get librarians need to answer all the questions. But yes, you can't check out any books here because we are a research institution for African American history and culture. Now, our reference library has over 16,000 books on African American culture. Now, that doesn't include a rare book collection. The rare book collection is stored in a temperature-controlled environment, and the oldest book that we have in our collection is actually 1815. And no, it's not a book of an African American. However, it's a journal of a Navy captain that talks about an African American that he refers to as the cook. 1815, of course, it has to be stored in a temperature-controlled environment to make sure that the pages don't keep deteriorating, getting yellow as the years pass by. Some of those rare books are now, you can see a little bit of deterioration, but because our mission is to make sure that we preserve the history and we do it well. So they are in a temperature-controlled environment, also inserted into acid-free sleeves and boxes. That's what we do, and we do it well. Now, it is, like I said, non-circulating. However, if you see a title in our library, our wonderful staff here will be so kind to go into the computer, check our database at any library in the city of Oakland, and we can put that book on hold for you. You can go and pick it up. So here we are, we are just a staff that is welcome to engage with our community and make sure that you understand the resources that are here. Now, that's one department. Let's go to the archives department. The archives department is where we pretty much now up to close to about 200 collections, such as Ron Dellums when he was in Congress for 23 years. What about Congresswoman Barbara Lee? We share her collection here with Mills College. Why? Because she's a graduate from Mills. So Mills was so kind to say, let's AMLO and Mills College share this information. So we are just thrilled to have her collection here as well. We have such people as Ida Jackson, the first African-American school teacher in the Oakland Unified School District. Now, I can go on forever, but I know you didn't come here to hear me talk. And I can talk, and those of you that know me know I'm telling the truth. Okay, so, but I must say this. We have the Motown Designer Collection here. Henry Delton Williams, who came here when he was 7 years old, went on to Southern California, went to design school, graduated, happened to design a garment that one of the Motown executives saw him at his event with somebody wearing his, and she said, who designed that? And the lady said, Henry Delton Williams. So the executive goes from the thing and says, I don't know what that is. Henry Delton Williams, here's a scarf. From there, he became a legend. We have some of his original designs here. Mark Reeves. Anybody heard of Mark Reeves here? not the only one.
Rock Vandella.
That's right, and the Vandellas, which she was actually at Ambo for Women's History Month 2 times, too. And she was talking about dancing in the street, she was dancing in Ambo. She's a sweetheart. We have our own Lenny Williams, who's from here. We have his jumpsuit is here, original. And Henry Johnson Williams has Frida Payne and Diana Ross and all these beautiful gowns and jumpsuits. Oh, he also designed for Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. So this is where you come to preserve your history. Now, you just don't, you don't have to be famous or anything. You just have to be willing to donate your collection here for generations to come. So we have families that come here, and some that migrated here, and some were born and raised here in our collection with their documentation. Don't forget the Pullman Quarters, the collection is here. Don't forget, what about the Black Panthers newspaper? Most of that whole entire newspaper collection is here at Ambo. Like I said, I can go on forever. I'm going to put it on my head. Now, from the archives department, I'll talk about the C Library. The C Library is the latest department here. This is where you can come, community can come, whether you're an urban garden, master gardener, or whether you're a beginner. You can come here and get seeds for free. You go into our seed library, you'll have envelopes with seeds in, take them home, throw them in small containers or large containers. It's up to you. And hopefully, perhaps, you'll bring in some seeds back. And that's why we call it the Seed Living Library. Now, let me move upstairs here. You're sitting in our museum gallery, which sometimes hosts traveling exhibitions. But moreover, exhibitions are curated by myself and the chief curator. So the last exhibition that we had in the center here was a cool exhibition. The exhibition before that was African Americans in the military, featuring Oakland. So it goes on and on. The permanent exhibition that you see here on my right and on my left is huge banners. Kiosk on my left and on my right, east wing, west wing. Perimeter is called Visions Toward Tomorrow, the history of Oakland, beginning with the 1800s. You can't find that anywhere else, right here. So, also, we do tours. Marco, you want to talk about the tours that you give here?
Hello, everyone. So we do tours here by appointment during the week. So those are group tours that we do. And then for individuals, we do individual tours. It can be one person, 2 people, 10 people. We give them a full tour that we would give during our appointments. And the drop-in tours are Saturdays at noon.
Did I forget anything? I'm good? All right, I'm good. All right, so now, first of all, the gentleman who made this happen here at the African American Museum of Library, he came in with us early on. He's also a longtime supporter of AMLO. So I want you to put your hands together for Charles Blackwell.
Thank you, Vita Silva, thank you. And thank you all for coming out. Let's see, this whole endeavor was made possible by a grant from Yerba Buena Center for the Arts out of San Francisco. The cast today, right now, is Catherine Campbell, Joelle Yates, Carl Bryant, musician for the evening. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Someone just might drift in. We'll see what happens. Let me, a little bit of an introduction. It's a hard-hitting piece, a lot of strong language, nothing you probably haven't already heard before. But we try to take the cultural arts and address a problem, a social problem that's running from one end of the country to the other. We have the introduction, the research, the introduction, the research, the recommendations, and the conclusion. We say to the audience, you might get upset, you might get pushed out of shape. Don't leave in the middle. If you do, you might leave, you might wind up depressed. We ask you to stay for the end. It ends on a note of hope, a note of inspiration and encouragement. So I guess without that, are we ready? We ready? Okay. So we got, this is welcome to a sociological report concerning black-on-black anger in poetic form.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, so before we get started, I have a couple questions for you. How did this all come together?
How does it all come together, Charles? Well, how did I come to be a part of this? I was provided an opportunity for YBCA. They had an arts grant, and it was sectioned off for different sections of the city. And Charles was one of the projects selected for the people in the Tenderloin. They wanted to speak to the people in the Tenderloin. They wanted to come from people involved in Tenderloin. I was invited actually to be a part of the panel. And myself and Siobhan over in the audience. Tenderloin is a small community of a lot of people. So Charles and I passed that cross. I basically heard about the piece, heard about some of the gentlemen's stories, Charles and Sylvester. It's a piece I grew to believe in. Being also a performer, just in my mind, I said I'd love to be a part of that project. And Charles happened to come in with a friend of mine that didn't know that that we had already been introduced. And he was looking for people to be a part of the actual production. And so that's how I came to be part of it.
Yes, I'm Catherine. Good afternoon, everyone. And I was sitting at home thinking, Lord, what do I do with myself now? And I got a phone call from Charles. He said, hey, I want you to do this play with me. I wrote a play. And I said, what? A play? I know you do art, but you wrote a play? And that's right, you're a poet. You're a poet. And he said, yeah, I wrote a play in poetic form. So, and I need your voice. I said, okay, I'm gonna be obedient. And I'm doing it. And we've done how many already? 5? Yeah. So it's growing. It's great, and it's emotional. I got a lot of emotion around it. You'll feel it when we do it. Hope you enjoy it.
We've done about several performances in the Tenderloin, and this is the second one we've done in Oakland. And it confronts, it hits home, so and just right. And some people really embrace it, and it really hit them hard in the Tenderloin. And so that's the main idea. That's the part of the reason for creating a piece of work in the first place. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
We're just going to start.
Okay, now I just want to introduce the musician. Please, bear with me.
Yes, my name is Carl Bryant. I play at the Cafe International. I got introduced to Curtis Charles here, from a fellow musician friend of mine. And he said, offer me a gig, and I took the gig. I did one set with Charles at the Young Weather Center. So nice event. And this is the second one.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's get started.
If we can get her morning, she's going to say tomorrow.
Welcome to Sociological Report concerning black-on-black anger in poetic form.
Preface. So what is poetry? Poetry is the fire itself and the blades of grass that sprouted days later up from the burn. We do so much to prevent fires because they are dangerous and cannot be controlled. However, in our efforts to control it, we make the environment that much more ripe for fire. We make fires inevitable. Poetry is just such a fire. It is a fire that burns without singeing the skin.
Charles Curtis Blackwell's The epitome of black on black anger is such a fire. It is a fire that burns, and the smoke speaks of the psychological anger that permeates much of the black community. Charles is asking us to look in the mirror and confront our greatest enemy, ourselves.
For you have done me worse than the Klansmen, for I knew who they were. With hoods on red horses, even with sheets covering on blood, but your mask a collision, colliding into my soul, causing my kindness to beg at the door of evil.
I interpret these lines to mean that the black man himself is his own worst enemy. We know what to expect from the Ku Klux Klan, but we do not expect to be double-crossed by members of our own community. Our brothers are supposed to be our brothers, right? Yet we know man cannot live on expectations, especially when people wear masks. Blackwell's line, but your mask alludes back to Paul Laurence Dunbar's We Wear the Mask, and the deception that often plays out in this game of life, especially where money and real estate is concerned. If we expect unity, black unity, we are often disappointed. Charles' poem scratches deeper and is trying to give us a microscopic look at black anger. It is black anger different than anger itself? Not always, but sometimes it is different based on the psychological pressures that black people face. Let us look at why this might be.
If this poem were art on canvas, we know it would look one way 10 feet away and another 3 feet away. Is black on black anger different in America than it is in Africa? Yes, for so too many reasons it is. This begins with the African American's acknowledgement of self. And once this is done, one must then complicate matters with race. The African American's appreciation of his own racial profile in America is a key component to his own awareness of self. Webster's New Dictionary defines apperception.
1, conscious perception with full awareness. 2, the process of understanding by which newly observed qualities of an object is related to past experience. That object for the black man in America is the skin color. He is fully aware of it because he had to be. This is because black people in America had to be aware of what white people think. He had to be aware of this if he was to survive 400 years of slavery. 400 years of the niggifying of African peoples in America. In Africa, the black man is not consumed with race, but more concerned with his tribe or religion.
Why should he be concerned with it when many of the population centers in Africa are predominantly black? The black man in Africa sees himself as the universal self, as the Chinese would in China, or the Indians in India. Race is not an African construction, it is a European one. However, the black man cannot easily escape the perimeters of race in the United States. The black man has been mentally tattooed, branded, and whipped with race in America. Not only then is the black man concerned with the perception whites have of blacks, but also he is relying on the unity of his own people to survive and thrive in spite of race, and to assemble with his own people to confront it. Thus, when members of his own group fall short of this desired or expected unity, conflict and friction occurs.
This friction and anger in the black community is what this book is all about. It is as if Charles Blackwell deciphered some of the encyclopedic variations of anger within the black community. Let us take another look. But Blythe Henry grew blacker, bigger and blacker, now bigger with anger.
Echoes of Richard Wright's native son Do many of our young black youth continue to play the role of Bigger Thomas in our own communities? Does America expect more of the black man today than it did in the 1940s? What does the black man expect of himself? These are some of the questions that come to mind when I read the lines of Blackwell's work.
The paper said he forced Ernest to get on his knees to beg for his life. And as for Ernestine, Lyle Henry slit her throat 7 times. When she uses it, Ernestine's blood is still on it good enough to create an infection and a cycle that won't be broken.
On January 1st, 2004, Jill Leoby and Doug Smith wrote an article in the LA Times about the number of unsolved murders in Central and South Los Angeles. This quote from that one article best exemplifies a cycle that won't be broken. As a result, the Los Angeles Police Department South Bureau, which controls most of this part of the city, has accumulated a backlog of more than 2,400 unsolved homicides over the last 15 years.
This describes the terror of lawlessness, retaliation, and violence that plagues urban centers throughout the United States. If the police cannot solve these murders, where do people turn? They remain silent and the cycle continues because we have seen quite a few instances where police departments cannot be trusted. The anger in the black community is like a raging fire, and you put gasoline on top of it with the recent deaths of unarmed black men. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Walter Scott, etc. This poetic report is a looking glass for us to see ourselves and for us to take a close look at black anger. And what we realize is that we can't only turn to the police or the government to fix this. We have to turn to each other to improve our own communities and demand the government and the police do right by us. And now we have a whole generation of young black men who are being forced to face the harsh realities of black life in the United States. What do we all learn from this? Reality whips everyone's behind, but you are not supposed to keep your butt in the same place. We have to get our center out the seat figuratively and play our little part in the big picture of confronting issues that plague the black community. And it's precisely what we must try to do, break that cycle. Perhaps after and reading and contemplating the numerous scenarios in Charles Blackwell's poem, we can learn to have a bit more patience with each other.
Research and findings. A letter from the blue. A tear from the soul, a tear falling from my eyes alone. I muttered this hatred night after night about the people who I felt I was wrong by, and I grow hot with hatred year after year. A flick of a memory goes by. No, it bulldozes through the trash heap that becomes my soul, my being, my personality. It all starts small, never ever large. Mine started in the infancy of the year, our Lord, 1985. Like many children, I was happy to start my first year of kindergarten. The children all black and looked like me. So many smiles, so many dreams of bubblegum, baseball, chewing gum, grin, laughter. My father and mother drove me to the door of my school and lovingly walked me to my class.
I never seen a difference in us. My teacher, Miss Holmes, a light-skinned black woman with perfectly coiffed hair bun and some smart tortoise-shell glasses, who I was very happy to meet, met my mother and father with no issue. I realized my mother, who is usually outspoken, never uttered a word, and my father, who is usually reserved, done all the talking. The class started, the day went as usual until lunchtime. I was going to play with other children until Miss Holmes stopped me at the door with a grin and asked in a mocking tone, Sylvester, there's no way that's your daddy, right? Yeah, that looks like your mama, but there's no way that can be your daddy. He fine. What he mixed with? I was stunned and didn't know really what to say. She told me to go on, disappointed me like obviously you wouldn't get it or too dumb to understand the wrongness of her accusation and strange question. But I did. This would be a long, ongoing thing from the Black community. My family, friends, lovers, peers, jobs, social issues. Did I really belong to my father? It never dawned on me the ghetto nicknamed him Pedro. It never dawned on me my grandfather was simply called Mr. or even Boss Gall.
I was the black sheep of a very biracial family. I was the failure to attain their beauty, a failure at his genetic success, a failure to forever never be seen as just as intelligent, never as strong, never as innocent, never as justified, always on the walk with the dark side. For Christmas, an auntie gave me a skin bleaching kit and told me to just be happy. My hair too straight for a nigga, my teeth too sharp for a nigga, my face and eyes too accusatory for peace. I was the slave nigga in a free family, and it had a title given to me by outside people. At home, I was just son or junior. These interactions would eventually splinter my family and end in divorce, rumors, and other opinions inside my house and not.
We eventually did get a DNA test, and that, then, and now, there's no one else's business.
The epitome of black on black anger, a sociological presentation in poetic form, fashion. The bottle, liquor bottle, growing ice in the blazing hot heat of summer's August. All I need is the jacket broken chaos of the bottle to grip, with sweat of my hands steaming, waiting to cut this motherfucker cold.
In a cell, escape from cell block, humming to the mood indigo of moonlight over Vermont. Let me visit the one who did me in for a fistful of dust and a jarring smile. Laugh again to the narcotics that evaporates from your rusted pores, for I need you to hate me. I need to feel your every bite, your every little bitter bit. For you'll tell me worse than the Klansmen with hoods on red horses. For I knew who they were, even with sheets covering on blood. But your mask, a collision colliding into my soul, causing me kindness to beg at the door of evil. Wandering for days through the city's desert. Now I miss you, and how I miss you. So in your disguise, departing waters fill my lips of liquor bottle, until the glass melts in my hand, boiling over my skin. Even so, with breath I will dust you, moonlight linger.
Tell me another lie as I lay here, with you and your breast of beast, succulent to the touch, almost about to captivate my cock, blaring so much so over the trumpet Louis Armstrong tooted on. And will he take you to your death? Will he play for your shame to me? Lying bitch of whore strung out, thoughts mingled selfishness, which roam through my ear, causing my membrane to abort its compassion for your filth. Die, worthless lover, die. Before me, the nigga that was fool enough to give takes your life in hand and crushes your ass against a railroad tie where chain gang workers once lived. And before I do come to you, immersed in anger.
Let me slip in once more, let me grind on the pussy, making you moan for your own wretchedness. For now it has become light to the survivor. Either I kill you before you kill me, and we have been at war with each other even before we met. Even before we heard Lewis play a requiem from a Hellion. And that was way before we met. We, like some wee mannequin or magician, sit on the porch, looking for crows to cast dice, favors agreed to like when to take off.
away from the burning trees that sweep our homes of glass, to see through the clearing, flames to come, my own prison built up, different from yours. You can have yours, I got my own, blood hut in the bars.
Do you remember when we used to sit on the last pew in the old church house, giggling at those strange sermons, messages to God, spoken by a stranger, looking for a place to hide, I, who we are now, incurable. Like blood dripping a broken liquor bottle, your blood and hope of before you could kill me, alive. Like fish frying, like bullets flying, like a knife cutting through flesh, slicing my hatred into a cell, a bacteria, an amoeba, too becomes full.
The blues become sacred to the touch of a stringless guitar. Could I wonder how many angry souls have I influenced? How many killed one another? With no fear of the sermon running through their sweaty hand, pressing for the truth in defiance of a lover's agenda, a tarnished menu forsaken for self-preservation.
She kissed with honey smooth as satin, tongue of touch to the rose petals, the same as she left him. But Belial Henry grew blacker, bigger and blacker, now bigger with anger. His hand can hold the sharpness of a razor and not bleed. The paper said he forced Ernest to get on his knees and beg for his life, but he would not. And as for Ernestine, Lyle Henry slit her throat 7 times with Ernest bleeding over rain-soaked kisses. And Lyle is still. The razor shines in the trash can, oiled by blood and unforgiveness. About to be used for another execution, now that 2 children are found in the Chicago alley. Look, Mama, what we found. And she is tired of a man beating her one-eyed blue, accusing her of affections of leaving across the street and down the avenue. When she uses it, Ernestine's blood is still on her, good enough to create an infection and a cycle that won't be broken.
It was down by the river when fish was being fried. It was down by the river where I put up that pistol with one intention, to let my woman know I was a man. To let my woman know I was a man down by the riverside, where the fish was being fried, with smoke steaming a mile high. Gushy smoke and fish in the fury. In my mind I see I ain't to blame. She sways with the wind, bending her ass towards the sun's grin, going down near the river's edge, where they found him. He looked at her thigh, and she brushed against his side. I saw it all down by the riverside, with 7 children hungry, fish in hand. Their last supper before her flower dress, the one I bought her, to sway alongside the river. I shot her down by the riverside, and children saw me doing what a man is supposed to be doing, with fish grease popping and meat dropping down by the river, where I shot them both dead.
Grind hard against the rock earth, Willie C. emerges with gas and smoke, hot lakes flying in the wind, tells her, you ain't nothing a bear would look at. You is what Monday rush hour traffic don't even see. She, Dorothea, tells him, inside the growing, wrestles with the agony of a sick love, toppled over strain and pain. Well, if I was as dumb as you, I'd imitate a bullfrog and leap backwards. You frog-eyed bitch, he yells, knocking over the glass of beer on the counter. His eyes fist grazing her left cheek, taking meat with it. Over and done. The other 5 people back up. Some holding vodka, brandy on the rocks, ginger ale, and the glasses on the counter. Dorothea's head hit the floor, and one customer speaks, her head bounced. Willie C. looked around at them while holding her back in the neck. Any y'all fuck with me, I'll beat the fuck out of you too. They listened with enchantment. Having never been cared for before, she groans with dripping pain. Willie C., in a gentle commanding lavish soaked speech, get the fuck up, and she rises.
The sound of a money jingle, falling downward like Niagara Falls. Falling, yes, falling to that jukebox playing Lowell Folsom. Falling over yonder. Next tune is Ike and Tina Turner. Blue, black, craze, scene storm blazing, with the hook on hand cry. I am done, well done.
Kathy, crazy enough to bet her money and win. The two fighters in the ring roam about dancing to feel each other out. In the terror of one punch, guess who? Kathy sips the beer with her medication first to go down slow, knowing she never won nothing. 20 folks at the Shields Bar in the humidity of St. Louis woman. Crazy smooth enough to glide over to South Carolina in the smoke of the sermon, to serenade those green pastures, smiley tan, a TK before the last punch. Kathy thought she had won. Her emotions rang out of her teeth, biting on the cigarette hard. No man to comfort her after the last split second. That son of a bitch threw that right just before the bell, and Kathy fell hard.
St. Louis woman, yells Jimmy rushing. From long before this jukebox could hold Ike and blue black Tina. Oh baby, pay up. He said if in such a flamboyant manner, his blue collar smoke hanging over his blue black muscles like an angel of death from Louisiana's swamp bottoms, uprooting bigger tongues. Her buttocks twitched from her anger of self to that deep, compassionate hatred of men, like the one she stabbed 7 years prior, telling her to fuck or get the fuck out. The crowd laughed with blue-collar smoke, building shame in the guilt, hate in the self, and ridicule of the compassionate pride. Smiles can be so deceiving, like temptations sing with such meaning. Smiling faces pretend to be your friend.
Kathy came out of the purse with finger on trigger instead of a roll of 20s. Rang the telephone up, rang a cloud of smoke, rang another ring of the phone. Ring ran those bullets. As Kathy blasted away blue-collared blue, black lightning, and the laughter of blues people, JT rose up a businessman after the sixth bullet had been fired and fear struck. Coupled with sadness, someone else already rang the police. You can hear the siren blowing in the wind.
The funeral hearse, luxurious and shining, to the fur, to the skin, to the sorrow, to the will I know, Mahalia begs for us to touch our soul, to let God speak to our ending, to our beginning. And this new young singer's voice, sparking from underneath this newfound ghetto breeze endurance.
No more weeping in a wailing. She sings like an ice-shattered sickle, sliding to the smooth melt. No more weeping in a wailing. That diamond ring raised high to stretch her fragrance, the same as Mahalia, to twitch in the ear, a twitch in the ear, and worried stiff. See that body riding high behind the black hearse? The last ride, the last supper. In her mind, in my mind, speaks of want. Preacher man raised his hand so high upward to escape through the sky, where the pillars meet, desires and loads are sealed and trapped. And it is moving as the deep waters, just as moving as this new young Mahalia, squirming through the ghetto breeze. The clock strikes 1 o'clock, jump. The weeping begins. The turmoil blending with the sermon of God. A spiritual house. Jesus, our helper, in a song for all our precious souls as imprecious Lord.
There's more weeping and wailing. One can feel Mahalia being resurrected. They open the casket and ask for any closing remarks. In a diplomatic fashion, Alberta and Alfred James come forward and announce that the will is not valid.
We found a new will last night in the shoebox in the closet.
Y'all a lying bitch from hell. Someone, a cousin or a sister shouts, a razor is slung.
Just that quick. Grease lightning. One of the sister charges after Alberta not singing amen, hollering, "You ain't getting shit."
The brother comes to the aid of his sister with fists flying. A pallbearer tries to guard the dead, but his weight is shoved against the casket, which is knocked over. Dead man rolling over. A shoe is thrown as fist flies. cousin against sister, brother against auntie, uncle against nephew, eyes blue, black and blood, fists grazed with bits of flesh, and cash money on loan, pallbearers bruised, beaten with brass knuckles, preachers with teeth missing. The new art upcoming Mahalia with a broken jaw, her arm slit. Farewell, farewell, someone crawling underneath the pews, and the will I know runs elsewhere.
Past the troubled waters, greed, raging, evil itself continues for the length of 3 rounds. None of the sermon was heard. A brand new suit cut up like new thread, 2 pews broken, ribs broken, but the mind just stayed on money. Even fought inside the paddy wagon for reasons of want. As in, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. No one dead other than me, who rolled out the casket. Some in serious condition, hoping their hatred would heal them. The janitor, after observing from afar, in wisdom remarks, these niggas didn't come for no funeral.
The tools of remorse set in metal. Olarendia stirred abortion and with pain, in the immediate, just get rid of it. Or better yet, you should have known better. Flowers on the wallpaper, she didn't notice that either. Only the cost. Michael wondered only if it could have been cheaper. He had bought her a car only a month prior to her vitamin spill. The computer calculated the edge. He has a good job, and so does Raheem, milk for the mama. To match the conquest of our capitalistic exploits, it would have been a boy, Dr. remarks in a cold comic relief. Down the hatch.
As in down the river, which once led up to slavery. We have overcome. Olarendia can continue to milk the 2 lovers, or associates, or partners and such. Play me for the pocket, cold metal, steel clamps. Release me to the dust snorting, for an ease of memory, to the dust of the pitiful. Now it's easy to live with no pain, to remember my flesh.
When self-hatred is poured over alcohol, it burns. Narcotics mixed with that same vapor. It brings forth a new reality that love can't cure.
Your mama wasn't nothing but a shameless husband. The grits conformed to the edge of the plate. Made in Japan 40 years ago and handed down tyranny, down the line, down the Mississippi to St. Louis, where Hook bites the cold in search of work. But drugs come first, and foremost to release the pain, to smooth the anger of venom. The challenge of weapon to kill or to destroy with the bites of the bullet. So Hook hit him with a pipe. A stranger in the cold, now dreaming, and remarks, it is mama, probably wasn't nothing but a shameless husband. The dealer raises his price, and Hook raises his pipe to steal, to steal. Feel the bullet, Hook. Embrace it in anger so costly. Let it sit there until your auntie arrives to deny who you are.
The hostile words exchanged in the rift, with pride bellowing the descent. The night dripped sharp passages, orange juice withered, African cayenne pepper perhaps. He bit the dirt on the homeless shelter floor, embarrassed and reduced to shame. His skin beginning to rot in the ground, turning black, turning blue. No one takes responsibility. Just a simple act of terrorism, overshadowed group therapy. Dust sticks in his lips, atop the carrot pie for dinner donated by the Muslim bakery. Wonder bread donated, too hard, they owe. And oak and roaches in a rack patiently await. The mourner stand, once friend in passing, comrade. Good enough for a cigarette. A siren sounds in the trumpet. The call is sounded. She weeps before the sheep become part of it. And her other lover is now free to take what is hers.
His yuppie friend Brian couldn't handle the agony of his mother's screaming blackness into his capitalistic, demented soul. Ice falls on the morning. He had already figured out a way to kill her. Double Dutch, pass line, craps collect. Insurance rides on the loose brakes, old as the hills of San Francisco. Red light working, turn street. pork barbecue ribs simmering to the fog, the nervous twitch of a cop is comforted by Beatrix, played by the son, incorporative. I told her to take the car to the shop, but she never would spend any money. 7 days times 7 days times 7. Cash money that feels like a mink fur in July. A self-help book to improve the mind. Bent on fire, bent on lying, taunted rehearsals, telling tales to cousins. Another self-improvement book. To eliminate the conscious, acquire more mind power. A sip of 20-year-old brandy to ride home and sleep in mama's bed.
A crumb becoming smeared, rusted by slave hands, moistened to the slave touch. Peace and agony, as lies the president, raining forth to carry you home in ecstasy, where the violence becomes a fact of life. A truth before the lie, after the fact and research. The sunny side of innocence until proven guilty. She, Cassandra, sat thumping marbles against a stone wall, and he, Elroy, sat counting pennies, all in a day's fortune, robbery to the max, self-inflicted greed. Before that mule-drawn AFDC check arrived, just couldn't do without a bottle of rum or vodka, and payment for kindness, of hot stolen meat for the same old fencing operation, lust of the eye moving blindness, to the darkness trailing, but still bars gleaming in the dark and shining to the touch. At the loss of self is where remorse is forgotten, transfigured by justice, cell, blocks of ice, cell block bars crisscross, the mind unreasonable, and a state of grief for lust. Gimme.
Gimme got drowned in the cesspool of one, and then become home for a second bout.
Swans breeze while rats are approaching to feed on that other dead bird. The Sacramento Symphony builds up into a crescendo of sorts. The rats finish the last little bit of a vulture foot. The funeral was easy for the entire family to take. She devised a way to kill her brother. More cake, more cookies, heavy on the icing. Extra sugar in the coffee, and away the sugar diabetic brother goes. And the sister screams her Hail Mary as the symphony roams in her head, yet she continues to count the insurance monies and still thumping, day-old blood included.
The passageway north led west, the hideout south, where memory leads us in the stick of blood-soaked chains, gasping for home. Honey drips murder, Congo drum beats for our soothing reign of terror, which follows the rhythm's run. Of rum down an hour of escaping feet, hollow is the drum call, bleeding for the sky to fall on us, to fall on this shining blade. In the night is suicide. To place it in someone else is having murdered my brother.
A desperate drip of sweat ushers forth to the OQS played upon. In the mercy seat at Mount Gilead Baptist, another relief from welfare, from unemployment, from screaming pain and begging neighbors. No one knows our name. Here's the winding vats evaporating the cold. Fall for the alleyway, snow for the cobblestones. Await time to sit still before the hard-boiled egg rolls off the plate and skinned alive. She never saw her attacker, though would-be assailant rides again.
Like night riders from long ago, we learn from our history now to inflict misery. Another ride by shooting. A woman weep for your child, with your neighbors gunned down, unknown without any words, implicated in thought. Yet, it was the hip thing to do. For a moment's worth of attention, blazing in the dark, the beat of the drum becomes haunting. The beat of the drum, not like the drums in a Philippine ceremonial dance with colorful clothing, or a drum proud of Klansmen coming from all killed and crippled, but like a pounding sound that speaks terror about the chest and breast of a woman to a man, a greedy, selfish, pounding rhythm, and without reason, which causes hope to become distorted. by asphyxiation.
Hands beat out a panel until blisters burst and rum is spilled over. Historical rum. Goat skin head, the haunting pound of slave catchers dressed in tribal dresses, with skin of brown, preying upon their peoples, their neighbors.
For thirsty profit of rum to satisfy their aching soul to quench their malice. The cry is muffled by today's standard of mask wearing, colorful tones of peachy cream tan, dark chocolate, lemon yellow, beige, smooth satin brown, and how beauty is executed for reason of fear of you, and a deep abiding compassion and hatred for self. Rules allowing for the promise, neighbors to kill that one someone and take what you have.
Kill your beauty.
Kill your life.
Kill your spirit and kill your breath.
And the who we all excuse. It's so normal. It's so everyday life. One generation after another, running on run.
The rum-soaked fields of liquid narcotics dried of ignorant dreams. Hurry home to Africa.
So we can kill them too. Their spirit shattered. Was it white society's rule or the fight of survival? Nevertheless, the rum running, we still drink of the spirit of greed and envy. The rum like blue ventures, kissed by the devil. Rum me until the mind seeks the absurd journey. Heretofore seen as too taboo. How accented, you break my fence.
I'll break your house.
You burn my house.
I'll slit your throat.
Run, run.
You slit my throat.
I'll kill your spirit.
You kill my spirit.
Run, run. I'll drown your love.
Recommendations. Cedric. Cedric used to stand with me in between classes in the new school building in the hall, stare out the window, my head under his chin, and linger. He was more pensive than I. When I saw him in '92 on Manchester Avenue, he was dressed in his Sunday best, and it was obvious that he too had lost the battle with overeating, or maybe he was married now and just feeling comfortable with himself. The Cedric I knew in 1979 was so thin his chin bone nearly pierced my scalp, and big bony hands clasped my waist as he bent down to kiss me. That was a weird love, a love out of the blue. I mean, who was the skinny, tall, yellow, fine boy following me all over the school, making other girls jealous? Hey, foxy lady, he called out in the cafeteria, and I'd be thinking, who, me? Is he talking to me? Finally, after weeks of his harassment, he asked me all formal-like at the bus stop, will you be my lady? And I said, all shy, like, yes. Of course I said yes. How could I say no? He was the cutest, most popular guy in the whole school. I thought I'd struck gold, but I also knew intuitively that he'd be a challenge. I didn't know at age 14 that he'd show me so much of himself. Didn't know I'd be holding him in my arms, all 6 feet of him, as he cried over the death of his brother. Didn't know I'd be struggling with his penis as it tried to break my hymen, or that I would take pleasure in his body time after time and again, just by rubbing up against it and pressing. Didn't know the power of a simple kiss. Didn't know how much I would miss him when I was forced to change my residence. Didn't know I'd have to wait so long, so very long, to be forgiven for this. Didn't know that a man or even a boy could show such tenderness, such gentleness, such depth until I met Cedric.
Arise, arise from the broken. Lover inside of me, come Come out with hands raised high, as if to give praise to the lovely shouts and groans within. Sing, sing until the sky is undone, holding up banners with stains from tears, sought in fury of love and sorrow. Here is where I lingered for so long until dirt became clay, dry and hard, likened unto my heart. Beaten by life's unfair games. Now being rained on, I continue to linger here, bathing in waters, God's mercy within, holding me fast. I grasp all of it. And to listen to the hidden parts where waters run deep beneath your well-fortified heart. I have discovered with only my blindness a vein of sorrows, likened unto Jesus and the woman at the well. Here lies the answer. Love, forgiveness, love. Sabotage of apologies a type misguided sabotage. If I can peel away one more layer of hard crusted skin next to where the heart breathes, then perhaps I will see all of you, even my own fears.
To Find Our Way. Essay by Charles Blackwell. In Martin Luther King's book, Where Do We Go From Here? He points out that of the millions of black people in America, there are only a small percentage which participated in the civil rights movement. The same can be said for the black arts movement, which flourished in the late 60s and 70s. The two movements represented the push, shove, thrust of black existence in a state of oppression. And Matthew Harvey, a university professor of social work and a family counselor, noted that people that did participate in these movements usually managed to resolve their disputes without the problem of violence. Those that did not participate in the movements or cultural aspects found that violence was present even to the point where the child was attacking their mother and father and authority figures. King's title, Where Do We Go From Here?, was speaking of the plight of black America and the direction of the black movement. Many people have said that if King were here today, he would be highly disappointed because of the rage, violence, and disconnect of one another that now permeates black life in general. When in fact, it was the community and camaraderie which also added to the thrust of the movement and gave it such power. These movements became a threat to the powers that be. Che Guevara once said, "For in order to have a revolution, one must find a love for the people." So something did happen. I resided in Washington, D.C. during the 1980s. It was strange. The Negro flavor of the nightclubs, 7th Street, Georgia Avenue was still there. But there was something else there, an undercurrent. I was opposed to Ronald Reagan until I realized I had failed to understand an important message. His wife made a short statement, just say no. Later I realized it was like a secret message to avoid the death and destruction that was on the way, being the government drug plan. The powers that be were determined to halt any possibility of the black movement regaining strength, regrouping, or revival. So the act of genocide took place and has left a path of destruction across black America. The destruction of the individual, the family, and the community. The effects are here today in the form of homicides, suicides, robberies, and the list goes on. An R&B group from the 1970s would sing, "Where do we go from here?" It is hard to wrap our heads around some of the behavior that we hear on the news or even see in public. But if we can speak to our neighbor and acknowledge them, who knows? We might discover wonder in ourselves. The late Ossie Davis states, any form of art is a form of power that has impact. It can affect change. It can not only move us, it makes us move. After all the turmoil, torment of oppression, the human spirit is still present. The cultural arts move into spiritual things. This power which Ozzy speaks of gives life, gives life, gives life.
Maintained by Miss Cobell. Maintain, my brother, the flowers are singing songs. Maintain, my sister, the weeds are playing drums. Maintain, the plants are making love. And the grass is laughing. Because trees tell the jokes of the strain of your brain that makes your face look ever so funny. Maintain, stay sane in any strain or confusion that attempts to pester, to disturb your brain in any way, at any time. Just laugh with them and stay sane and maintain.
Okay. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here. Somebody's crying, my Lord, come by here. Somebody's crying, my Lord, come by here. Somebody's crying, my Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here. 'Cause somebody needs you, my Lord, come by here. Somebody needs you, my Lord, come by here. Somebody needs you, my Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here.
Before the eulogy, before the requiem of scripture on the front page of the daily newspaper, Charles Blackwell. Humility and suffering, interpreted as something those of class consciousness will not know about, other than razor-sharp incisions cutting into the spirit, which gives way for the climax to come by here, Lord.
And heal the wretched soul, blackness of blues, excluding jazz, and day-old minstrel men's also yelling cuss words. We are and have been wrestling with this shit for so long until train blasted the tip of an atom off injustice without them. See the 4 girls being hauled down to 16th Street Baptist Church on gurneys? The division is that some colored folk could care less. So come by here, Lord, and give reasoning, dear Lord, for we are a people in need of healing in the hearts, in the mind, in the abstract, in the spirit of you are my neighbor.
Cries and moans ring out from over the river, deep cries, the Mississippi, the Pearl, the Monongahela, Missouri, the Sacramento, but the Potomac and the Carquinez Strait.
Deep river and crossing, the heritage of all those which have crossed these rivers before us. Shall we separate ourselves from the newborn thuggish gangsters, colors, the blood-soaked knives, box cutters, pistols, shanks, razors, plastic bags of fire, bent on annihilating all of us?
I often wonder, just who do they work for? They celebrate the death of a movement. Thank God Train's music is available on recording. The funerals rage on forever and a day. Over there, over the river. Yeah, we know there's one more river to cross.
Hum, 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 hum. Dear Lord. Drum song rolls slowly. Oh yes, freedom song rolls slowly. Downriver. There truly is a 12-bar blues beat here. If you be quiet and still, you can hear it, feel it too. It is our history and the culture. Up from the cotton fields, rain-soaked, muddy fields, shacks on stilts, and wells to draw water from. For we are not born out of the barrel of a gun or by computers, the mindset of arrogance.
Challenge what? A Mississippi missionary sister waved her handkerchief, farewell to her grandson, as they rolled down the Wabash into the Dan Ryan. Shot 7 times. 7 comes 11, craps out, and all over nothing. Maybe it was some cash, but not enough to write home about. Farewell, my baby, farewell. Surely there must be a Coltrane piece orchestrated for this 15-year-old child, and he wasn't even arrogant.
At the L train station, a drummer plays full set on the platform, begging he is safe, place coins in cup. The melody describes the 15-year-old's life, hard-pounding beats which create a crescendo almost operatic to the touch. Casket closed, cakes closed too.
Who am I to think that I can reach the arrogant, apathetic, which have divorced themselves from the I to B? Dubois, Bobby Seale, Rosa Parks, and Martin. Gangster rappers are spiritual leaders, so let me give homage to them before they start blasting in my direction.
A DC night was packed. Two horn players thrusting out hard melodies. Young dudes, real people, following the lights of train. Intense, almost clapping on stage. Speaking a language .com can't comprehend. Biscuit, black-eyed pea crowd yelling, "Amen, brother!" His last breath for the last note for the sermon. The drummer moved in, just like one in Chicago. A 12-bar beat in between, African syncopated rhythm. Screaming, "Jesus is coming home."
There's hope after all. Roach is still in the computer age. A faucet that leaks. A rat gnawing on kitchen pipe. Police, ambulance, and fire sirens yelling every 3 to 5 minutes. Intervals of passion. But here these musicians are interpreting all of it, even the political state, upheaval in the chaos. 16th note, go faster.
So young boys and young men can do jumping jacks in an unlawful laundromat with inches of snow outside. Chicago, Philly, Newark. Kiss the blacktop, earth dancing for all creatures. Without buttons to press would allow them to exit or seek existentialism. See the white snow, so pretty it is to cover the filth of the urban squeak, and still, black on black anger melts the heart of loved ones, dead on arrival.
No place for rap, hippity hoppity, nonsense of callous hearts, to sing about being bad, motherfucker. For it is not a homie, a dude, a doe, it's not even a nigga. But it is, or was, a person.
A human being which could breathe, the breath which God Almighty had put in him, for she, the Lord Most High, having created.
Giving life to that individual to exist here on earth, which came out of a woman's womb, God at work.
Birth from a woman, not a bitch. The real people with soul and spirit.
Tambourine snacking sound. Second, line falling in formation. Be it in New Orleans or Los Angeles, Oakland, Baltimore, Chicago, it's the same. Black anger bellowing misguided fury, and it became by any means necessary.
So in the absence of love, the horn player now plays a sad serenade, a requiem of lost and gone forever. The choir having already sung at church house, peace, be still.
I'm wondering if young minds get it, or do they still satisfy themselves with text messages of, it was a whole lot of people at the funeral, The thrill of seeing a mother weep, a father crying, young minds removed from the gruesome reality of life in the real realm of death. All the second line musicians stand with heads bowed silently.
But someone has lost someone they cared about, a loved one, a friend, a cousin, perhaps a son or a daughter, a 2-year-old baby, and it's out of place, even uncouth to punch buttons here at a funeral with pants sagged.
Sonia is still sounding the drum, drum, drum. Words which pound, beat, pound. Attempting to break through the I, me. But black on black doesn't identify with us as us, collective movement. Sonia sees Rashawn, Roman, Kirk sees Cornell, see? The question is, do they see with their third eye? Glittering all over the tennis shoes, that's all that's important here. Lights flashing, train left the station. For Coltrane truly was. Young minds listening, you might see it too. Understand it. Don't come easy, neither cheap. For we really are in need of a love supreme to cover our ills, our filth, our sorrows, our sins.
Sonia, sound the alarm. Call out the ancestors. Pay homage. E.B. Redmond, let them know there's one more river to cross. So young hearts might grasp the effects of real versus unreal, God versus degradation, and give the drummer and horn player applause, for they are presenting a mirror, telling us we need hope in loving kindness.
Instead of a death wish for the self-serving, narcissistic mindset.
Conclusion. This historical burden of brotherhood contributes to the black community's distrust of the powers that be. If I cannot turn to the authorities to implement fair play, then I must turn somewhere else. This leaves many black communities ripe for the anti-snitching campaigns that we have seen, and adds another weight on the backs of blacks who are already carrying a heavy load. This leads to the all unsolved murders of the inner city at the hands of the bigger child, who takes matters into his own hands.
The dilemma, tales of crumbling to succeed, and the tragedy of hope dismantled. Not boxcars, house of deuces, or craps out, but a life and death struggle. Musically, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 36 16ths. Oh yes. Hear that train? Hear that train a-coming, as in cold train. Adding injury to our tears, that's musical too. So eliminate I, comma, I of the self. Off the self. Off the selfish grin. Creating eyes on injustice. Off the selfish greed. Running so much so until hatred overtakes the insanity involved in the hatred of love. Acknowledge the detour sign ahead. Leaving vanity to frustrate apathy. Moving hard against ignorance on molded blacktop, defined as asphalt, not still born as we all know it, still black and still alive. A beam of light equal to that broken white line, which can be boring to follow in life. Give into giving. Give into the art of giving. Give into the the conquest of your soul, where dreams unfold. Give into love. Give into love and being loved. About who? About who else? Give into charity. Give into charity of the heart. Give into the act of charity. Can we as a people, can we give? We have no choice. Give or disintegrate. Give or disappear. Become. Oh yes, become. Become the all in all. In the presence of the all in all, in the presence of the Almighty, to become what God would have us to be. For we be who He is. For we be in the presence of the dynamics of becoming merciful. That beam of light which lights the way to mercy. Merciful to ourselves, merciful to one another, merciful to our neighbors. Mercy which leads the way into peace. A peace that surpasses all understanding. Sylvester Guard, Captain Campbell,
Okay, oftentimes, before we leave, we do a Q&A just for people to share their shared experiences or to like get anything they have on their mind off their chest. Or if you would like to have any questions for any of the readers up here or the music player, this is the time now. We got one person in the back.
Yes, I'm in the section here, and a lot of people have been asking me if the scripts were for sale. I have no idea, so people have them, some people don't, if they come, so that's the question.
Oh, no, you can have one.
They're free.
We have another person in the back.
Yeah, I'd like to say that my uncle invited me, but I did a lot of work. Well, I should say my uncle, my father did a lot of community service, and he was the kind of man that would help for growing up here in Oakland. This has been so inspiring to me because I feel I've lived that life. I've been so fortunate, so blessed, but I have lived that life. more honorable. It's not how much money you have, but it's about people being true, talking like you guys did. It was beautiful. Thank you so
I just want to say, that's my homie, Charles Blackwell. Hey, Charles and Zinga. Great work, powerful.
That was Zinga saying, great work, powerful work.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We have another person who has a question.
Where can I find the artwork of Charles Curtis Blackwell? I know he's an extraordinary painter as well. Where can we find your artwork, Charles?
Right now, I got about 15 pieces at Musical Art and Cafe in Berkeley. I think that's the only place right now.
It's on the walls in the Oakland airport.
It's a mirror over there. Yes, you can look Charles Blackwell, .weebly, .com. I think that's it.
I believe also at the Yerba Buena Center in San Francisco. Is that exhibit still up?
Yeah, it's still up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, the Hospitality House Community Arts Program on 6th and Market Street in San Francisco.
I just happened to see some of his work when I was doing a hackathon at Google as well.
Also at the Tenderloin Museum.
We have another poem.
I have another poem. Hello, my name is Anita, and I have a poem.
Question two? Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Okay, this poem is called Sensitive is the name of it, and I think you might be able to relate this poem to what Charles was doing this afternoon also. They're capable of intense feelings to relating of secret affairs by the emotions of others. Don't give a darn about itself. Dumps its relationship on earth the same affairs on others. No secret to itself. Just only the one to be believed as the weaker for the needs of the wrongdoings. Can't lift up one without the other. Choose as accommodative, build some up and broke some down. Both built and broke are still the weaker for the sensitive sounds. To regain the shame, the emotion, the feeling of love to be lived and accepted among those built. These events knows an end to the repeatedness of the action of activity. Sensitive it is, a mistress or wife or the self, sensitive towards money or debt, sensitive towards good looks or disability, sensitive for a man or woman about and handle themselves. Don't butt into someone else, for you are not alone. No one wants to be forced to making it right, to right and wrong. Someone other believes, no, not me. I would rather die standing up than live on my knees, meaning be sensitive with your needs.
All right, so are there any more questions? Oh, right here.
I don't need the mic. I just wanted to say, I'm a collector of Charles's art, and I've heard his poems before, and I know it's really difficult for other people to read other people's poetry. But I think you guys did a good job. I don't know if I felt redeemed in the end, but I was so sad by the time Charles got up and spoke, and I enjoyed his words, but it's just hard to get through some of this stuff.
Well, I think that's to transfer from that last comment to the cast and the readers and the musicians. If you guys guys could tell us a little bit more about the mercies and the hope that you have as African American identified people in the state of the country and the conditions and the stereotypes that are affiliated with some of the violence and the anger. How do you all find or ignite that hope or that joy when we seem like there's so much despair surrounding or even consuming us?
And all that this piece, I'll let Charles answer the question. But the hope and mercy is where it's based by moving from the things that he talks about in his music.
I used to do writers' workshops in prisons during the 90s. And there's three things. African American don't know their history, don't appreciate their culture, and poor self-esteem. It's like a one-way ticket to prison almost. And to find people that, you know, tap into that creative side and realize, you know, they want to learn something. I mean, you done got knocked down in life. You got two choices. Either you sit and rock, or you decide you want to think. And so, in a sense, it's rewarding to see people make a change. Some of the stuff that's going on today is so senseless and so outrageous that I can't wrap my head around it. But I do think it's sad to say, but okay, maybe you can be locked up. It was a chief of police, and I think it was Alexandria, Louisiana during the 90s, and it was amazing. He's white, he saw what the problem was, got a large run of young adults, they've been arrested for various crimes. I mean, he went straight to the court. He implemented a mandatory reading program. So you ain't leaving until you learn how to read. And I thought it was amazing, and I mean, this is the chief of police, you know. So maybe it takes something like that, I don't know, because, I mean, Oakland's got a reputation. Anybody go to Jack London Square, it's almost like inevitable. Your car's gonna get broken into. Somebody went over there, they were visiting from out of town. They stole both of their tires. So I mean, it's insidious and insane. And it's, you know, person trying to do something, go do what you gotta do, and all of a sudden you're stranded. And that creates anger for the person that's the victim, you know. So maybe that's what it takes. You lock them up, now we can force you. You gotta be in this program, you gotta learn something. You ain't leaving until you learn something. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that's one suggestion. I can't give a full answer.
Yes, I have an answer. One of the good answers we have is empathizing with each other, listening to each other. We all have a culture of not listening, and we have a culture of really not having mercy. I'm from West Oakland. This is my hometown. I stomped around. I got arrested right there on 14th Broadway for fighting. And one of the main problems is we don't acknowledge generational trauma. We are still dealing with things from slavery. We're dealing with losing our identities. We're dealing with losing people close to us. And sometimes when we walk out in pain. It's really hard for us to, you know, acknowledge that pain. As a man, we're taught, suck it up, shut the fuck up, and deal with it, figure it out. And as women, I see a lot of social stress there. You know, one of the main issues that dealing with this project, I did a lot of stats, and just the beauty industry alone, Black women is like 80% of all beauty sales, all hair, all makeup, but they just now made a fucking shade for Black women. You know, there is no really gathering places for us like it used to be. There is no neighborhood watch. And current culture tell us to not trust anybody. And damn it, you have to trust each other. You know, you have to not just only trust them with they're gonna do the right thing, but you gotta trust them with, damn it, money. You know, we're taught money that's none of your damn business. But we have to have these talks so we can like carry on generational wealth. We have generational poverty, but we don't practice generational wealth. And I learned that from my father, who just died 2 years ago. A saying that was told to me was, white kids get wheels, black kids get bills. And that's another form of trauma. You know, burying 5 relatives in one grave. And these are things that's not a special story. You know, there is a million people that got beaten by police. We don't only get beat by police. I'm pretty sure each black person here got jumped one time or another. And we got talked about for our shoes, our hair, our shades. And we need an open place to talk about that. Yes, we have another person over there.
My thing is the question of, you know, where's the sense of community? Like, our family came here from Texas, and, you know, well, my mother came in the 40s, my grandfather had been here. And I remember, you know, I grew up elsewhere, but I was raised in California, particularly Oakland, for a long period of time. It was a sense of community. It's like any adult could tell you, you know, if you don't eat good, tell your mother or tell your father, you know, you straighten up. We respected one another. We looked out for each other's children and what have you. Where had that sense of community gone?
Right here. It starts right.
Yeah, you know, I'm an original Black Panther, and when I joined the Panthers in 1969, and I think it was in the 80s, or yeah, that you know, we went in different. Some of us went in different directions, but there is where I just kind of got my history from all of you here about Oakland, about who I am, what I am. You know, I didn't even know myself. You know, and the reason why I say that is because we weren't being taught things in school that we shouldn't have been taught. And I was headed for college, but I didn't know anything. My major was art. I love graphic arts, and I chose that because it was like Maya Angelou. It was my way of giving myself a voice through my painting or drawing. But then I had this habit of singing and whistling. And you know, we as a culture, when we grow up in a Black family, there's certain rules we have in our family, especially if you come from a Christian foundation, which I came from, and we have rules in our house, just like you said, you know. One of them, and then, of course, I was Church of God in Christ, and some of you that know Church of God in Christ know that it was a sin almost for everything that you did. You couldn't wear makeup or nothing, you know. You couldn't, if you went to a party, you had to be home by 9 o'clock, but the party don't start till 10. So, but, you know, these were values, you know, that we held on to, that helped discipline us. And then the Black Panther Party, I learned the formula for community, and that is love. You know, we have to continue to show each other what love looks like, because we're doers. You know, well, I mean, we were told that we couldn't read up through slavery, you know. We were beat because we couldn't communicate that way. So we had different ways of communicating with the drums and all that, you know, but we also had a way of having to communicate because of the fear that was put in us, you know, and that was, we could not, I mean, we were a fearful people, but we were intimidated, you know. Hair, you know, skin color, what we say, how we think, you know, all those things came into play. So we have to undo all that, and it's not over. We have all of us, I'm saying all of us have work to do. We have to show the children that are coming up, you know, the love, so that it won't be like this. Because we know we live this. So we got to change it. Thank you.
I'm kind of just
Somebody's
piggybacking.
got a question.
off of everybody else when they was talking about the church and the foundation in the church, which was our greatest foundation in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, where we learned those values. We had rules. And another thing, when he was talking about like the women now, they like to dress and they like to wear makeup and their hair and stuff. Women chased men for many years, and men had a lot of different directions that they were going into because they were our leaders. So we chased men, trying to have families and stuff. But like he was saying about the trauma that men have gone through, they have gone through a lot of trauma that did not allow them to relate to the women. So they ran from women, they had different women, and you know, you did have some foundation families where fathers was in the home, but we still had a lot of men that really didn't know what to do with a family, didn't know what to do with a woman because of all the trauma that they were dealing with and trying to be men. So the schools coming up in the 70s, the 60s, we were fighting all the time. We were picketing and we were rioting, and there was a lot that was going on in Berkeley schools that we went through. And once we went through the riots and fighting for our rights, then the hippies and free love. And that took the men in another direction. It took women in another direction. And so we just haven't been able to come together in the sense of that type of love that you're talking about, and loving one another and loving our children and loving the family and bringing that family together. When I came up, we always had dinner together. My mother cooked. Now you don't even see people cooking. A lot of people do not cook anymore. And so they're not sitting around the table having family meals with their children and teaching their children how to be able to socialize with one another. So we have a lot of problems, we have a lot of division, and until we do come together with love and sympathy and care for one another, we will stay pretty much divided.
The lady in the front.
I just wanted to say to you guys that I was at the first night, and also I guess it's the last. That when I thought about the task was, to bring people from the community, voices that are not normally heard, and being a part of this group, this creative group, and my thought was, the 10th point oftentimes has this really bad narrative, and I was born and raised in San Francisco, but I spent many years in an active addiction here in Oakland and learning a lot of different things about myself in Oakland. But when this project came along, I thought that it was really important to hear and include the voices of Black men, and that, so I guess what I want to know is that, like the narratives or the myths that we hear about, like the 10th point, Black people are in that community. Black people, a lot of times we get these really negative narratives about each other and become afraid of each other, and so seeing this work and watching it grow and the impact of South communities is so beautiful. I just want to know, how has this impacted you guys? Has it changed you, or have you seen the impact on the audiences that you've been a part of?
First and foremost, this is Siobhan right here. She helped get this thing started.
Yeah.
People who helped push us to get this going. But I see a change personally, like just working with the people that's here and that's not here, the people from the past. And one of the main things I learned is forgiveness. It's easy to hold a grudge. That's one thing to do. Back to my dad. We're an Oakland family, and for many years he was into drugs and all that stuff. And going to anger management and get therapy, I decided to let it go. I decided to let it go. And I had a decision to make, and the decision was, do I hold him to what he did, or do I let it go? And I let it go, and for the first time, I was like, I have a father. He may not be perfect, but he's here now. And a year later, he died. But for a full year, I had support. I had somebody that listened. I had somebody who got it together. We had actually started a business, and it's unfortunate what happened, but that year made up for all the other years he wasn't there. And I feel, that was my lesson. Forgive.
Based on that, I want to try to. Good. Okay, we got 1 minute to close it out.
I would like to meet Mr. Blackwell.
You want to say something? Go ahead.
I would like to meet you, Mr. Charles Blackwell, and Cash, for your presentation this evening. You guys all did an outstanding job. I like to look at the situation from an economic point of view. If you look at the wealth of African Americans versus other communities, our net worth is about 9 to 1 is the white community. So they got 10 to 1. But if you look at many minority groups or people that have come here and have been successful economically, if you look at a lot of the Asians that have come here economically, if you look at some of the Ethiopian communities that have come here, they have come here, but one of the things that they have come here with is they have love of self, they have belief in themselves, and they work together. That has allowed them to prosper here in America. Africans have almost the same net worth and wealth as white Americans. So there's something uniquely happened to African American, Black Americans in America. And that is, which Charles spoke on, a lack of love, a lack of belief in ourselves, a lack of trust in others. Because if you go into Africa, they have a collective community. The Indians that come here have a collective community. They dominate the hotel industry in America. They own more than 50% of the hotels in America. The Indian community. You see every community you go to, you'll see a Hispanic restaurant. There's a space, I know, I live in Sacramento. And every time I see go to a strip mall and there's a vacancy or need, the next month I see a Asian business, or I see a Hispanic American business. So my point is that until we love and trust and believe in one another collectively and have a collective spirit of working together, we will never be able to close that gap economically, and that gap economically gives you so many more options. And so our kids don't have a lot of those options, and it comes down to a lot of us economically. Some of us can do something individually, but you have to do it collectively as a people if you're going to be successful as a family and as a community.
So let's, as we move from here, love each other, love ourselves and all the attributes that move against the things that we spoke on today. Continue to extend our love to each other, deepen that love, and extend that love beyond the circles that we're comfortable within loving. And that's how it goes out further and starts to build. Once again, we want to thank the African American Museum, the Oakland Library, and I wish y'all all well. Have a blessed weekend.